One area that does affect everybody is the job market, and I'm very disappointed with my peers in conservative and alternative media, because with the January jobs report that corporate media announced as amazing and incredible, it wasn't. It was absolutely awful, and yet so few are talking about it. They just want to talk about the spy balloon before it got shot down. They wanted to talk about the whatever, some important stuff. The Hunter Biden stuff is important. I get it, but this was important too. Except I didn't see very many reports. It should have been a bombshell. The bombshell being terrible jobs report released, and yet corporate media and the Biden regime somehow try to spin it to make it look amazing. I mean, it's literally not amazing. One person who did notice that was Michael Snyder over at the Economic Collapse blog. His article titled, "Don't Be Stupid." I forgot. And he's usually not that blunt, but in this case he is. "Don't be stupid. The U.S. economy actually lost 2.5 million jobs last month." That's right, 2.5 million jobs. And you might say, oh, what sort of adjustment did he make? What adjustment is he using to come to that number? Actually, what he's doing is he's not using adjustments. But we'll get there. Let's read from the article. "I can't take it anymore. Fake numbers that are released by the government get turned into fake news by the corporate media, and many Americans don't even realize they are being conned." And when he says many Americans, by the way, let's call it the vast majority. What, 70, 80, 90%? Maybe more? They just don't realize. You might think, oh my gosh, we're making so much headway on the truth, but on certain topics, especially as it pertains to the economy, anything with math, really, okay, the masses they just tune it out, okay? And I get it. I understand. I do myself sometimes. But anyway, back to the article. "Major news outlets all over the country are breathlessly trumpeting the, quote, blockbuster jobs report as if it is a sign from heaven that good economic times are ahead. We're being told that the U.S. economy added 517,000 jobs last month, but that isn't true. Sadly, the truth is that the U.S. economy actually lost 2.5 million jobs in January. Yes, you read that correctly. So how in the world does a loss of 2.5 million jobs become a gain of 517,000 jobs? Every month, government bureaucrats apply adjustments to the numbers that they believe are appropriate, and at this point, their adjustments have become so absurd that they have to be turned that they have turned the monthly employment report into a total farce. And this isn't new to the Biden regime, by the way. Okay, jobs reports have been getting butchered badly for a long time. It really started getting bad under Obama, but the readjustments under the Trump administration, some of them were off as well, and off in the other direction. Like, some of his job reports were absolutely fantastic, but whatever, the woke bureaucrats didn't want that to be the case, so they tampered expectations and recorked all the champagne bottles. It's ludicrous. It is ludicrous. All of this is ludicrous. But anyway, back to the website. As I have been documenting on my website for weeks, there has been a tremendous wave of layoffs over the last several months. Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Lyft, Twitter, Walmart, McDonald's, FedEx, and countless other large corporations have decided to conduct mass layoffs. But now the government expects us to believe that the U.S. economy is actually adding jobs at a very brisk pace. What does that doesn't make any sense at all. Unfortunately, the corporate media is totally buying it. And I disagree there. I don't think corporate media is buying it. They're just doing their job. They're not their real job of doing journalism. They're doing their job of being the mouthpiece of the White House, of the Democrat Party, of the liberal world order, the World Economic Forum, the globalist elite cabal, the powers and principalities, whatever you want to call them. That's their job now. They don't report the news. They didn't fall for it. They're just doing what they're told. Anyway, unfortunately, the corporate media is totally buying it. For example, CNBC just posted an article that described the jobs report as stunningly strong. This is a quote from the article. The employment picture started off 2023 in a stunningly strong note, with non-farm payrolls posting their biggest gain since July of 2022. Non-farm payrolls increased by 517,000 for January, above the Dow Jones estimate of 187,000 and December's gain of 260,000, according to the Labor Department report Friday. And a CNN article has quoted one expert as saying, yada, yada, yada. Get it? Okay, yeah. So their corporate media trumpeting the amazing job that Joe Biden is doing, allegedly. There's another one by Moody chief economist Mark Zandi, also saying how things are looking great, but no, they're not. They're not. So back to the article. The U.S. economy did not add 517,000 jobs last month. That is the adjusted number. The adjusted number actually shows what the U.S. economy lost, or I'm sorry, the unadjusted number actually shows that the U.S. economy lost 2.5 million jobs last month. And then here's an article or a quote from an article from Bloomberg, which, I've been quoting Bloomberg a lot lately. I'm not suggesting by any means that they are starting to tell the truth, but at least they're being a little bit more transparent than they were just a year ago. They were looking awful. And I don't know if there's been a change or what, but I've been getting more and more semi-accurate economic news from Bloomberg than I've gotten. It's been the last time I would say that Bloomberg was a trusted economic source was probably 2013, 2014 at best, maybe even earlier than that. They did very well during the economic downturn. Their projections were very accurate. Their news was very strong back in 08, 09. But then things started changing for them and they became more and more partisan, more and more woke, I guess. But lately they've been better. Anyway, side note. Okay, so according to the article from Bloomberg, for the establishment survey, the government's updated seasonal factors may have impacted the headline payroll figure. On an unadjusted basis, payrolls actually fell by 2.5 million last month. That is actually what was measured. But if you brazenly add more than 3 million jobs to the report that simply do not exist, it makes it look like the U.S. economy is doing just great. Needless to say, Joe Biden was quite eager to take credit for the spectacular jobs report, and he also told reporters that he takes no responsibility for the raging inflation crisis, because of course not. He's Joe Biden. Skipping all that. For the next month, the Biden administration is going to endlessly boast that 517,000 jobs were added to the economy in January, and most Americans will never even know that it is a number that is entirely fictional. The cold, hard reality of the matter is that the economic activity is slowing down all around us, and many people are starting to become quite desperate. I'll pause right there. I might return to the article because there is more to tell, but I don't know if I'll have time. Anyway, I've said this before, especially a lot recently. The economy, arguably the most important component as far as a controllable component of the economy, outside of policies, outside of strange events, the single most important aspect of economic growth or failure is sentiment. Sentiment of employees, sentiment of employers, sentiment of consumers, sentiment of sellers, sentiment of importers and exporters. If people react, not necessarily based upon what's happening right now, as much as they react to what they expect to happen in the future. I participated in it turned out to be a really awful series of decisions made in 2008 ahead of the economic downturn. The company that I was with at the time, I was an executive, and I didn't see it coming. Nobody saw it coming. We didn't not nobody, but nobody in my company saw it coming. And we started making massive amounts of new hires back in 08. And of course, then 09 happened, and the bottom dropped out of our business, and we had to make some cuts. We had never made cuts before. But we did. We had to make some cuts, and that hurt a lot. With that said, the sentiment tells people how the economy is going to go. And if their goal here is to try to keep sentiment high, fine, I'll accept it. But I don't think that's it. I think this really is political. If sentiment falls, then the economy is going to continue to fall. It really is already falling a lot, very fast. So what do we do about it? Get ready. I would go forward assuming that whatever the government tells you in this regard is wrong, and that bad days are ahead. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here. So we'll get happier in the next segment. Anyone who's watched my show before knows that I am not a financial advisor, thank God. But you also know that I am very, very bullish about gold and silver, precious metals in general. And I do believe that it behooves us, considering the state of the economy, it behooves all of us to move whatever we've got, whether it's retirement accounts, various types of retirement accounts, investment portfolios, whatever, even just cash in the bank, moving as much of it as we can to physical precious metals, whether having it shipped to your door or through what's called a self-directed IRA, which I like a lot. Now, there's a lot of companies out there that do it, but the vast majority of them are the executives are either donating to the Democrat Party because it behooves them to do so, or they're working with proxies of the Chinese Communist Party, or both. I like to use America First companies, which is why I suggest going to jdrucker.com/gold, jdrucker.com/gold, and you'll see the three companies that I've vetted out that are verified, bona fide, 100% America First companies. They're not donating to Democrats. They're not giving to the Chinese Communist Party, and they can help you move your investments, your portfolios, your retirement, your cash, whatever, to gold and silver, physical gold and silver, or through a self-directed IRA or any of the other various products they have. I don't even know. I just know those two in particular I like a lot. So jdrucker.com/gold.